Maybe. Okay, welcome to another episode of Panakal, podcast for geeks. A show about good friends hanging out, talking about things we all love. Sorry we are a little late because it took me a minute. As everybody knows, I have audio issues all the fucking time. It's the story of my life. My guests today are Kat and Steve. Kat, your last name's not Argyle. It's Oertli?
Oertli.
Oertli?
Go with it.
Okay. And Steve Argyle, and then Jacob Walker is right here. And my co-host is Andrew Sides. He always steps in when I really need help. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Because it took me. How you guys doing? Andrew, you field it for a second. I'm testing audio.
He's flustered because of audio.
So how was DragonCon for you guys
Andrew, you
this
field
year?
it for a second. I'm testing
Jacob,
audio.
I know this was like your first time. Kat and Steve, you guys have done it for a few years now. Jacob, I know this was like your first time. So I guess Steve, first time, how was it for you as a first time thing? And then Kat and Steve, how was it compared to previous years, considering like with COVID and everything going on?
Well, first time, like anytime you're at a show the first time, it's kind of people don't know who you are or where you come from, or you have some of your fan following that'll seek you out. But like the first year, we got a whole lot of.
About the first year,
Actually, that's true. The first year, I was not actually there, so we'll let Kat answer this one.
Oh, she ran it by herself your first year?
So we were at Gen Con like 2 weeks before, and who was it?
John Stanko.
John Stanko was like, "Hey, I just started this teaching job. I can't do it. Do you want my spot?" 2 weeks before.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, I'm wanting to get to DragonCon, and so I was just like, my philosophy on a lot of this stuff and why we've been successful is just act on it, do it.
Yeah.
So
as soon as the opportunity is open, just go for it.
Yep. And so I said yes, but Steve actually had a ton of stuff to do, so I conned my brother into coming and helping run the booth without Steve. It was also an experiment to see how I'd do without Steve.
We made a latex mask so he looked like me.
That's creepy. I'm gonna assume your first year there wasn't that good.
It goes perfectly because it's back when the vendor hall was in a different building and it felt like a horror movie. It was like a.
I heard the vendor hall and the art show used to be in the same building. Is that true?
I don't know. I didn't get out for the art show that first.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't think at that time it was. I think it was in the hotel, but I don't have the long knowledge of it.
Sure.
But
So,
it was a creepy
how is it
building
split up?
with 8 ceilings. Oh,
Okay.
It's split up right now where they call it the America Smart, and there's 3 buildings, and in America Smart 2, there's 4 floors for DragonCon. First 3 floors are vendor. 4th floor is like your artist alley that you would find at a Comic-Con. And then 2 blocks up the street is the Hyatt Hotel, and in the ballroom, I guess, or the exhibit hall of the Hyatt is where they have the art show. And
basement.
It's like the basement. Like it's actually there's one more floor under us. I found out, but I don't know if anybody can go.
The art show actually gets pretty decent traffic, even though it's separate from vendors and.
Here's the thing.
Stuff?
I feel like it's gotten better. I mean, I had people coming to the art show this year who I had a guy who said I've been coming to DragonCon for like 16 years and I didn't realize the art show was here. And I was like, do you not read signs?
Yeah, I was going to ask Jacob, like as a first timer, how did you feel about the art traffic at the convention and the art show?
I don't know. I know it's a weird year. I know they had like their attendance capped at about half of normal, but it felt kind of similar to Gen Con.
Okay.
Maybe not quite as busy or quite as many artists, but it seemed like quite a few people were there.
I mean,
it was like a decent churn of everybody.
It would have been busier.
Busy.
It would have been busier. They were trying to control it. I think the number they were hitting was 60% capacity.
I gotcha.
And I don't know what it's like in the vendor hall for you guys because I wasn't there during the day. My assistants were working it, but they said it was pretty busy in there. So
in the vendor hall, it didn't feel any different. Than any other year, really. And by the way, I do need to give the disclaimer. When we say last year, we mean in the before times.
Yeah, 2019.
The 2019, the before times.
And you're going to make that mistake a lot, so I'm just going to say, I'm just could put up that link.
No, it's okay. There's like a big gap year, basically. No one acknowledges
2020
2020.
never happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
So,
this is our redo, so
it didn't feel like the traffic was much different, actually, for us.
Okay.
I didn't make it to the art show this year. I feel like a bad friend, and so I would love to hear how it was.
you got your names on a board for next time. It's like, didn't stop by to say hi, off on the list. Well, you know what the thing was also, usually the vendor hall is closes an hour earlier than the art show. So then you guys have that hour to come hang out with us in the art show, which this year
I used to rely on that.
This year they just lined it all up. So it was like, I was going the opposite way. Like as soon as the art show closed, I was running over to meet up with you guys. Cause I also stayed with the same group for dinners and stuff, right? Like, cause I didn't want to like get sick and go crazy.
Pod.
Yeah, we stayed in our own little pod. Except for I think Sunday was the only I had a friend with me who drove with me. It was his birthday. I'm like, I have to take him out for his birthday, you know. And but yeah, so like I don't know. I feel like you guys were probably exhausted because you had that extra hour to deal with, and I think the art show opened earlier than you guys at the same time now too, except for Friday.
It's actually less exhausted this year, and it's mostly because of like we always knew where we were going for dinner. We only went with the same group, and we didn't do all of the like. You know, I'm an introvert. I like socializing, but it exhausts me, and most of the time it's just tons and tons of old friends to catch up with, which is great.
Yep.
But you know, we're up until 2 a.m, and then we have to get up super early to go set up the show, and so this was like the most relaxing year I've ever had because we just went to dinner, and then we're we didn't. We totally were. We're like, this is.
I still stayed out a little bit with my. I mean, I went to dinner with you guys, and then I just stayed up at my friend's. I went back to my friend's condo, where he was nice enough to let us stay there, and I just stayed up there for. I think I made it to like midnight each night, and then I was just like, I need sleep. And yeah, maybe it's because I'm getting older, and maybe it's just because I just don't need to party till 2 o'clock in the morning anymore, you know. And
yeah, Jason.
This was the first show I did that.
Yeah, those two guys seem like they like to rally, and I was like, there's that moment where you're like, I'm gonna start rallying with these guys if I don't leave, you know, like.
You don't have your natural exit to go.
Yeah. So it's like everybody was like, "Let's go," you know. And my friend was like, every night I was done with dinner, he's like, "I'll come get you." So I was like, "Oh, I'll get a free ride. I'm just gonna take the free ride," versus trying to take a lift home in the middle of the night, which I think saved me from. Dragon Con's one of those shows I used to go to where after the show is like. Everybody's at the W or the Westin, right? Or everybody's at this other bar. Like the artists had their own little collective areas to hang out with, which I'm not going to name them all because that's our secret. But you know, that's where we drink, and it's quiet, and nobody bothers us. You know, which sounds like we don't want to talk to people, but you know, when you've been talking to people for 10 hours straight.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's exhaustive. You need some decompressed time.
Yeah, you want to go see your friends for a little bit, right? You're like, can I hang out with people like I try to get dinner with Jacob a bunch of times, but Jacob's super popular apparently.
What did you do, Jacob?
No.
What were you doing tonight?
I was hanging out with David Pancake a lot because we drove down together, and we didn't so much try and do a pod, but it ended up being that way. Me, him, and another guy from Indy, and I don't know. Every show I go to, I never end up hanging out with him that much, so we just hung out, got some beers. One night, I guess I did go out with a few other people, but yeah.
I mean, I feel like I felt like the whole time I was coming to the show is gonna be super stressful because of the pandemic. You know, who are we gonna hang out with? How are we gonna spend time? And I did a preemptive thing where I talked to Jason, and I was like, "What are you doing for dinner? Who are we hanging with? Let's try to like just keep it small." And he was on board with that, so I was like, "Cool, rock and roll," you know. So that once that part of it was over, I think everything was like setup was super stressful because I was in the vendor and art show, and I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to manage this, but my assistants were both fucking brilliant. Like Justin and Raina, like I didn't even have to think twice about how they were handling stuff over there. Like I just knew shit was getting taken care of, and so my stress levels went back down to like a 5. You know, like. What are you gonna do? You're always gonna. I don't know how you guys don't stress working that show. I see the crowd of people and I'm like, nope. You know, like I just kind of go behind my table a little more. But
I don't stress over the stuff too much.
I mean, I'm like that. Everyone's always like, you like the shows, you do really well at shows, you seem to be smile. I'm like, yeah, I'm smiling, but I'm also stressed out. But when I'm behind the table, I feel safer. Like,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
You're in
like
control there.
as a salesman, you don't want to you don't want to show a person that you're stressed. Like, oh my
Right.
god, I'm gonna fucking like shit a brick here if you don't buy something. It's like no,
Yeah.
no one wants to be approached by that. They
Well,
want to see a cool, collected person.
someone who looks like they know what they're doing, and even though most of us don't.
Yeah. Exactly.
like,
we
I
are all
have
the
some
dog
stuff
on the
here.
internet. We just got to pretend not to be.
How was the cosplay compared to the past shows? Oh, Nelson was asking about the cosplay. You know what? I didn't see a ton of cosplay this year. I saw some.
Really?
Yeah, I expected this. What day is this parade? Saturday, right? So I expected after this parade there would be a boat ton of cosplay people just pouring in, but not really. I mean, unless they're in the vendor hall with you guys.
No,
No.
not much over there.
It was a lot lower key than most years.
So the thing with cosplay at Dragon Con is most people have their day cosplay and their night cosplay. They actually do things a day. And the night cosplay is the one that you don't want to be walking a floor in. You don't want to be.
Yeah.
Is it usually like more involved or?
I mean, there's some
okay.
elaborate costs. So I'm gonna put my friend on the spot.
I've seen a few from like photos of Dragon Con. But yeah, I wasn't sure like how if someone ever did something like that,
I mean,
or if they just kind of soldered through it throughout the
I
whole
feel
day.
like Sandy. I feel like Dragon Con is one level under San Diego on level of cosplay.
I agree. I think it's on the same level.
You think so?
Yes. Other years, 100%. If you've ever
It's
gone
just
out night.
different.
I mean, I've been to San Diego where they had the dude dressed up as a Gundam with the giant wings that glowed all around. I have not seen that. I've never seen anything like that.
There was the full group that was the space one with the robot.
Lost in Space?
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Yes, Lost in Space. There was the whole
space group with the robot. It's like I just went with the first thing I could think of.
Space family.
That could be a
Lost
lot of
in
family.
Space, the whole family.
So yeah, San Diego Comic-Con, it's like really high-end, well put together, like movie level cosplays. But they're also kind of playing it straight. Whereas the thing I like about Dragon Con is they're really clever and creative. They're almost always a mashup or something like that. And so the build quality isn't as high, but I tend to appreciate it more because it's clever.
Like there's a Taco Bell where it's Belle from Beauty and the Beast, like full on satin dress.
I saw that.
And then all of the rosettes are taco or nacho meals.
That's amazing.
And then like right here is a taco right at the like.
You want to wonder if she ate all the Taco Bell to get all that stuff, or she actually just works there and was like, I've got all the Taco Bell supplies. I'm gonna make a dress. You know.
I didn't see this one, but my favorite one that people posted from this year. Can I share just by sharing the screen?
Yeah, I think so. It should pop it in here. It might work. We've never tried it.
My favorite one.
We'll have to see.
We'll see if it shares your screen. If it doesn't, then you broke the whole call. Oh,
awesome.
So
there's a watch screen, but did it show up?
Yeah, let me click watch screen. Let me see if it shows up. The Delta lady. I see it on my screen.
Yes, but it's the Delta variant.
Okay.
I'm not sure if people can see it or not. Yeah, I saw this. I didn't see her in the show. I did see her in you can stop sharing. It'll put us back to normal.
And that was but that right there is like encompasses the humor of Dragon Con, where they do these funny, witty cosplays, like the Delta variant.
Right.
Like that. That's what you see there.
Yeah. Versus San Diego, you said that they're usually more straight laced in terms of they just basically replicate the movie costumes and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego, you got to keep in mind, a lot of people coming in from San Diego are coming in from Los Angeles and Hollywood and all that stuff.
Right.
So they're like, they work in the industry. They're more than likely trying to show off their skill sets and try to get maybe a job in the industry. Whereas Dragon Con is just like, man, I'm going to wear this costume till 1 a.m. and I'm going to booze it up.
Yeah.
Yep. like I was gonna put my friend on the spot. My friend who stayed at the Hyatt, his go-to costume every year has been a boner Spider-Man, and it's literally the Spider-Man costume with a boner, and he has a sign that says "free hugs," like. And what's funny is people don't notice the boner; they just see the free hug sign, so they always run up to him to give him a hug, and they're like, "Whoa, hey," like.
Oh
Which
my
is
goodness.
all right. But I think the funniest thing about that whole costume was one year we were at the hotel and he forgot the ping pong balls that he uses on the tip. And then he had to call his mom and ask her to pick up ping pong balls. I was like, your mom probably thinks you're gonna play some beer pong in the room later. Like she has no idea that you're walking around. Feel free to look up Boner Spider-Man. He does have an Instagram and a Twitter account. Anyone who's watching.
Oh my god.
So
It's
that
fucking
reminds
hilarious.
me, we were at this fancy restaurant. Actually, you went with the White Oak at Dragon Con.
Yeah, White Oak, yeah.
A couple years ago. This was a couple years back. We show up and Bubba Fetish and Dom Vader show up
Wow.
full outfit and proceed to sit down and get dinner at the White Oak. That is the epitome of Dragon Con. Yeah, and
I'm trying to see if I can pull up a photo.
Bubba Fetish had like a ball gag.
Safe for work tag.
My god.
Yeah, and Dom Vader. Oh gosh, it was just great. And then all of their weapons instead.
Can you guys see this?
Lightsabers or dildos.
I don't know if that shows up. That's him. The sign he's holding says "free hugs," but I had him make an Instagram page, and he didn't do it this year though, obviously for pandemic reasons. Also, I feel like maybe he was just like, I'm cashed out, man. I'm not gonna do it this round. But I still remember the first year he did it. Nobody believed me that he had that. I was trying to find the photo of him and me from my first year at Dragon Con because he told me about this costume, and I'm just like, oh, here it is, brilliant. This is how I found him. That's me pointing at his boner.
Like, I did not notice that.
So Sasha Jones. I don't know if you guys know Sasha. Was at the show with me, and I kept saying, "Dude, he dresses up as Spider-Man." And Sasha was like, he was my roommate in the hotel, and he was like, "I don't think that's a thing. I think you're really drunk and you're just coming up with stuff." And I was like, "No, I'm telling you." And then I found him, and that's me pointing at Sasha taking the photo because I'm like, "See, But yeah, that's the one thing I don't go to the Marriott anymore because so if anyone who's been to Dragon Con, the Marriott's the big party hotel, right? And like.
Is that the one that looks like a whale's ribcage?
Yeah, and it's just full of people. And my first time there, I went there because I was like, I want to experience Dragon Con its fullest. And, I went to the little platform. I danced up there. I went downstairs, took tons of photos of cosplayers. And then when I got home, I got like the worst con crud I've ever had in my life. I had like 105 fever or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Just dying.
Best people watching ever, though.
Yeah, best people watching ever. Yeah. And then, like, every year after that, like, I feel like if I had gone in there this year, I would just, I felt a little safer because I had my mask on the whole time. But, like, every year after that, I would just walk friends over and be like, it's in there, and just leave. Because I didn't want to, like, you're really, like, walking through a field of chaos, Like,
yeah. See, that wouldn't be for me.
It wouldn't be for any of us,
man.
That
was the hotel I stayed in.
Yeah, Jacob told me he's staying at the Marriott. I'm like, oh my god, you're gonna die.
So, actually, yes, that's an interesting question. So, like, if someone what advice would you give someone that is doing it for the first time that hasn't done Dragon Con before? Since you all have experience doing it now.
I want Jacob to answer first. So I'm curious to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, Jacob, you go first since this was your first year.
I don't know. It was like the smoothest show I think I've ever been to. Just load in, load out, set up. Everything was real easy. The only thing I can say is bring someone with you so that you can get away from your table because I saw nothing outside the art room.
Yeah.
I think I made it upstairs a couple floors for like half an hour because I snagged someone to watch my booth, but I don't know. I didn't get to experience much of the show, but I was kind of okay with that too because I know this is an off year.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. Everything else seems to run pretty smooth.
Okay.
And I will say they had like a bunch of people walking around, a bunch of volunteers helping out giving you bathroom breaks.
The art show
checking
always
on you,
does
seeing
that.
if you need anything.
The one thing
That's
they
a
didn't
nice
do,
feature. I didn't know they did that.
Like that.
I noticed the one thing they took away from the art show was, if I remember, I don't remember in the past years. I thought in the past years the volunteers could also take transactions for you if you walked away for a minute, but they were very specific this year. Every time I would ask somebody to watch the booth so I can go to the bathroom or go talk to another artist in the show, they would say, "Hey, just so you know, I can't collect any transactions, so don't dilly dally, because if there's sales, you're gonna lose them because I can't, you
Right.
can't make." So I thought, oh, okay, that's different, which is fine. I didn't want to leave my credit reader with some rando,
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know what it's like in the vendor hall. So this was my first year in the vendor hall, so working in it.
Yeah. So that's actually kind of good. What was your take of the vendor hall as a first timer?
Busy and scary. Like I was also on the first floor. Like I was literally 4 aisles down from these two, Steve and Kat, and I was like, we're on the first floor. How busy can the first floor really get? Because you walk in and you see the first escalator and everybody goes up. And I thought everyone's going to get rerouted to the second floor first before they come back down. And on Friday, I worked the vendor hall for a little bit with Justin because I didn't have to start till 1 in the art show. And the crowd I saw them just standing there waiting to be let in. I was like, oh, this is scary,
wow.
So it's good and bad, right? On one hand, you're like, awesome, all these people are about to pour in and look around. But also, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job of making sure you were masked. They were very specific about checking. Like, I got an extra badge from Kat, and I couldn't do it until my assistant sent me her vaccination card, right? Like, so they were very good about checking and making sure. And the art show itself, I called out at least 4 of them. I saw at least 6 people get escorted out because people are just wilding. They just won't.
Yeah.
So I'll call you guys out because you're a bunch of assholes. Just wear a mask. Like, they came into the show, they refused to wear a mask, and then one dude totally. I was like, "Sir, you're supposed to wear a mask in here," and he kept walking. And then an assistant was working another booth. She said the same thing, and he just kept walking. And I was like, I went and got somebody to say, "Hey, man, that dude, 2 of us have told him to wear a mask," and he didn't want to. He was like, "I don't want to wear a mask. I don't have to wear a mask." It's like, cool, leave. Like,
yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't want to get sick. Yeah, you don't have to be here if you don't want to. No one's forcing you to be here, but there's rules, and it's really just wear a mask for 20 or 30 minutes while you're walking around the art show.
I didn't see anything in the vendor hall. The only unmasked people I saw go in the vendor hall were the cops.
I did see cops too, dude. I thought they were cosplayers at first. and I was like, them some real looking cops. I was like, it's because it is a cop,
Yeah.
So.
And I think I only saw maybe one mask where it was just I'm not wearing a mask, but this will get me through, and it was just a little piece of plastic in front of his face. A few inches
I saw
off.
that.
But other than that, I was actually really impressed. Everybody that we saw was doing their best. We didn't see a lot of the. We did have one dude who he had a Borderlands Wasteland mask on, and he kept taking it off to talk to
Whenever
us.
he cut you, he'd pull it off.
And it was
I had a guy doing that. I said, "You don't have to do that, man. Just leave it on. I can hear you just fine."
Yeah, it was a little bit crowded and loud, so he'd get real close and then take it off. You're like,
oh no,
I'm not. Chances of us getting COVID are not that high here because of the vaccinations and the mask and everything, but still.
Let's not roll the dice, right? That's not,
Yeah.
Well, it's just so weird because he'd have it and he'd be like, "So anyway," and then he'd put it back on as soon as he stopped talking. It's like, that's not how it works.
But I mean, that's it. I was really impressed. I even had for the first day, if people wanted to get a souvenir photo or whatever, can I take a photo with you? I was like, do we do masks? Because you can't tell who I am or whatever. Everybody was like, no, masks on. I don't want to.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. 9 out of 10, we're playing by the rules. There's that one asshole. I'm gonna say asshole because that's what I think when I think a person doesn't wear a mask.
What I called this dude one dude was wearing in the vendor hall. It's just a plastic shield that was open completely on top and just had a brace for his chin.
Did you see? I saw some cool ideas. People were like, I saw a couple that had the Star Trek Discovery helmets, and at first I thought, oh, they're just wearing these helmets and they're not really covering, but it was like wrapped under, and it had like a hose thing that was attached to, I'm thinking, a fan, because there was like they had like little mini backpacks on. You saw those guys, Jacob. They were in the art show.
It even had they had a fan, and they even actually had 3M filters that the air was going through.
And I saw that costume. I thought that's because they had like a whole window now to the world without, you could see their faces, and I was like, that's cool. It's good thinking,
A mask that sealed right here, and I was okay with that. It just seemed like they got condensation. It was dripping all down their neck, but that's more their problem.
Yeah,
I mean, I would like to get some kind of
where it was open was gross. I was like,
I would love to get like a space helmet. That would be cool. But in my head, I was like, I don't think I want to wear a helmet on my head for 10 hours. Even the mask was starting to bother my ear after like 7 or 8 hours.
I would want to do like the retro 60s where it's like a fishbowl.
Right.
I'll do that.
And then it press on your shoulders, but it also,
you got to have some something to filter air though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was expecting to see, like, I saw some really clever plays on the masks where they incorporated it into their costume. I was expecting to see more, but the stuff I saw was really cool.
That's what I mean. Like, I felt like people, like, they had time, right? They had time to plan. Mm-hmm. So they actually was like, how cool can I? And I felt like people were like, I'm going to plan a cool costume. If I'm going to have to wear a mask, I'm going to plan my costume. I saw like I saw a wide variety of Mortal Kombat Sub-Zeros and Scorpions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I expected to see like 3 or 4, but I saw.
I was thinking like you might see like a lot of Immortan Joe.
No, there was
walking about.
There was a ton of ninjas in that show.
Ninjas make a lot of sense now, yeah.
Because it's just perfect. It just fits, right? So like, I was also going to talk. Was that?
I was going to say another favorite is there's a lot of people who coordinated their mask to their cosplay, even if it's not part of it. They basically, I mean, they already make cosplay, and so they very much coordinated with it.
Well, you might as well have fun with it, right? Because you're going to be wearing it. Like, you had to wear it through the vendor hall. You had to wear it in the art show. And for the most part, you had to wear it if you're inside any of the hotels. The only place that wasn't enforcing it was outside on the street, where you should, in theory, still wear it because there's a lot of people out there with you. But it is outside, so you determine your level of risk there. But, Hyatt was packed. Like, I went upstairs at one point to get just a coffee, and I was like, I'm never leaving my booth again, And I literally had the assistants make food runs for themselves and then for me. I was like, I got to bring me some food. I was like, the mall is attached to this hotel, so you got to go through me to get to the food and reverse, So...
So Jacob, did you stay in the hotel that you were?
You stayed at the Marriott.
Yeah, we were supposed to be in some other hotel. Loud. I don't know. It was like a rave going on a few floors down.
What floor were you on?
But 29.
Oh shit!
We were up there pretty high, and you could still hear it.
That hotel's wild because it's like on an angle, right? Like everything's like on an angle when you walk in. It looks like an angle.
I don't know.
No, I know they use that hotel when they filmed Loki. They filmed Loki in there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, there's parts of the TVA that are represented by that hotel.
That's the Dragon Con hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it gets used a lot in a lot of films.
I think they use the Hyatt too.
Iconic look.
Yeah. Yeah, when Jacob told me he got transferred to the Marriott, I was like, that's...
Oh, getting an elevator up to your room there is...
Yeah, like bring a book to wait for the elevator.
Yeah, my friends who stay at the Hyatt always hope they get a lower floor so they can just take... Like, they were on 5 this year. So, like, oh, thank God, we can just take the stairs. But one year they were on 16. Yeah. And I was like, I would not walk up 16 flights of stairs, man.
Well, Sunday, when everybody was loading out, last guy out of our room, he couldn't get on the elevator. He stood there for like half an hour. So we finally took the stairs down 29 floors.
Holy shit.
I mean, that is a workout is what that is.
Yeah.
Our local show, Salt Lake, one that is next week, but we're doing Gen Con instead. They have basically one elevator for the entire vendor floor.
That's a bad idea.
It is.
Well, they have other elevators, but they lock them during to go down to the parking because there's actually parking beneath the convention center.
Right.
Three levels of parking beneath the convention
They lock
center.
them so the attendees can use them.
Well, that's the problem. Is so during the show they lock the elevators that go straight into the convention center, and they only keep one just outside of the booth, the badge check open. And every year I go and say, hey, right at 7 when you close the show, you need to unlock those 2 elevators. And every year they tell me, oh yeah.
They never
They
do.
Never do.
This is Salt
They
Lake.
never. Yeah, and I actually go every single year I'm at it and go find security and yell at them to get it open because it's ridiculous.
Kat does
Yeah.
her thing where she just finds the people who have the keys and stuff and acts like she's their boss. Like, not mean, just be like, okay, so this and this and this need to happen. You'll get that taken care of. I have to do this other thing. And they'll just be like,
They're like,
I don't
who's
know who
that?
you
Who
are.
is that lady? Does she manage us?
No.
I think I've seen you in action at Gen Con doing stuff like that.
Or your
I don't-
clipboard or something.
Gen Con is really organized, so I don't usually have to do that. But the funny thing is, I'll do that to the security guys. I'm like, you need to go get the elevator open, and you need to start organizing how people are flowing and do this. And I have this guy who's working, they're taking down the banners for the show, and he's like, where do we put these? He comes up and starts asking me questions about the show. I'm like, I don't work here.
You're like over there on that wall. You gotta act like you know the shit at that point. The only thing I don't like about Gen Con, I love Gen Con, it's one of my all-time favorite shows, is no air conditioning when we set up, and how they shut it off. There's no air conditioning when you set up. In my first year there, I learned the lesson the hard way. I showed up in jeans and a t-shirt. And every year after that, I show up in shorts for setup. And for the last day of the show, I always have shorts on under my pants that I just switch out to, and or I change the shorts at my booth because they shut the AC off. The second the show's over, the AC, it's like some dude's just waiting and done.
Jesus.
You know, like, and it drops, man. The temperature and like it's a big hall that was full of people a minute ago, and like they all take the cold air with them when they leave. You know, it's like 90 degrees in there when you're done, and they open the big doors.
Yep. The other thing at Gen Con is if you know our setup, it's basically a giant banner.
Yeah,
It's
you're right.
giant
You're right
bill.
by the garage doors. Well, I don't know if you are this
Right by the
year.
garage doors, we can't we're not this year. There isn't anything there.
Okay.
They put us by the giant loading bay doors every single year, and we can't set our booth up until the morning of Gen Con because the winds gusts that come through will just knock our whole booth over. And so we get it all set up and ready to go, and can't actually put our booth up until the day of.
I can't remember who told me. Somebody told me they pay per hour for the amount of air being pushed in there. So it's like if they leave it open for us, like I thought it was a daily charge, but if they leave it going, they'd be leaving it open. You know, the air will be moving for like another 2 or 3 hours, whatever. But I'm like, give us an hour of AC, man. Like most of us done
at
in
least
an hour. And to Dragon Con's credit, it was still cold while I was breaking down. So I was like, oh, thank God I'm not dying. Because I had to break down. I literally broke down the art show, stacked everything up really nice on how I'm going to move out. And then I ran over to the vendor hall to help my team. And they do, again, brilliant. I left them a key to the van. They just started loading it before I even got there. And
Nice.
I was like, go you.
How were sales for all you guys this year?
Hey, you guys can go first.
Better than I think it's our best year for
Best
Dragon
DragonCon.
Con, actually.
Yeah, I've been hearing from some people here and there that they've been finding that their convention sales this year have been pretty higher, or at least a little bit better than expected compared to previous years. I don't know if that's just because people are stir crazy and want to get out or whatever, or what. But
Jacob,
What
how was
about
your...
Jacob?
For me, it was almost as much as I did at Gen Con last year, 2019. So, I don't know. Second best show I've done. People were dropping money the moment the door opened. So, it felt like a good show.
and mind you, that's at 60% capacity, I guess.
Exactly.
then, too.
I was sitting there
So,
thinking, man,
yeah.
what would this have been like if we were at 100? Because this was the best show I've had to date. Like, most of you guys know my Gen Con numbers. Like, I'm not gonna announce them on the show. I'll tell you guys after if you want. But this show with the vendor hall and the art show combined was the best show I've had to date. I was like blown away. And I again, obviously I had the luck of being in the vendor hall, and then also my team just managed it. Like, people were coming over to the art show saying your team is speaking highly of the stuff. They know all about the like, I had people who are on my Patreon who were like, they know the book, they know the stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I gave them the book. They've read the book, like, which is kudos to them. They actually did their homework and they knew how to talk to the product, which I loved, right? Like, they weren't just standing there like, oh, he makes some art, here's some stuff. Like, they could tell you full stories about each of the pieces, right? And I think all that stuff comes because, like, my motivation at those booths is never to, like, I'm never trying to force a sale on you. I want you to buy the artwork because you like what you see and you feel something for it. So I want you to walk away thinking, I bought this awesome thing and I'm going to keep buying stuff from this guy because he was cool to talk to or whatever. I don't want you walking away thinking, why did I spend money on this? Because now you're never coming back to my booth. And for some reason you hate me because I made you spend money,
It's interesting what I heard this year, and I think this is where Steve was going to go. What I noticed at DragonCon, because some of our friends did not do well, and I feel bad.
Yes, there was an ebb and flow in there for sure.
Well, and I'm making a blanket statement. Let me put that out there. I'm not trying to offend anyone or anything like that, but it seemed like what people really latched onto this year is exactly what you were talking about. It's the experience. And having that experience and this art means a lot. Whereas the merchandise people, where you're not having an experience when you go in there, you're just buying a cool bag or something. Those people didn't do that well this year. They're the ones that really like had a hard time this year. It seems like, and
I mean,
again, this is just from
where it's like just, I guess you mean like just people that didn't have as much of a context or a story to their overall work compared to people that did.
Tchotchkes and just like we just kind of sell merch.
Yeah,
right.
More of the folks who sold merchandise, like licensed trinkets and stuff that you could get anywhere, rather than the specific, like, I'm here talking to a creator and I want a souvenir of that. Like, that's those folks, the creators, the artists and stuff seem to do really well. And then kind of the
merchandise,
the stuff that you see everywhere,
right?
They were having a hard time, and I think part of it is they've had a year off to think about what was important to them, and a keychain with their name on it, it's fun.
Yeah, it's not a huge splash to them. Yeah,
they're hungry for the experience.
Yeah, they're like, the stuff that was important to me a couple years ago was getting to talk to some of these people that I follow.
The experience.
Yeah, the experience rather than the swag.
And I'm making generalizations, but that's what it seemed like from people we talked to.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Interesting.
No, I mean, like, I get what you're. Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
And that, I guess that also works. I mean, that fits in with what you were saying, Alan. Like, people wanted to know about like the stories of the paintings and stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just so, like, you're talking about merchandise, like, if you're selling like leather jackets or even like the swords or whatever it is, like, people want the experience of it. Like, if you're just kind of like, and I'm not trying to call anybody out but I did see a couple of vendors just kind of not interacting with their customers when they walk by. And if you don't interact with them even in the slightest, just to even say something like, hey, how's it going?
That's even in the best times. Like, you're just head down. No one wants to approach
just a little bit of like, hey, what's going on? How's your day? Or I just want to talk to you because that's what I want to do. Like, anything to grab their attention, they're not going to stop at your booth, right? Unless, that's not to say, unless you're selling this amazing thing that they really want. Like, I'll use Ultra Sabers as an example because their booth was straight bananas. And everybody wants a lightsaber. I got one. I had my assistants go pull a random box for me. And I got I'll show it to you guys later. I got a random pull, a blue lightsaber, and their booth was super busy. But that's a specific product that it's so geeky that everybody wants one, right? And if you're gonna give them a deal at $75 and they get a blade and a handle out of it, of course you don't really have to work hard for that product. But if you got something unique like we do, like I had my friend Brian's plushies at the booth, right? I had some squishies and plushies, so D&D based items, so I can flesh out my booth more with products because that's the deal I had. I had to have products, and I was like, okay, well, let's work a deal. I'm going to work with you on this, and you're going to work with me, and we're going to have everything. And the plushies were a harder sell, but it definitely caught people's eyes, you know. And but then we had to also talk to them and be like, here, hold one, try one, squish it, you know. Like it wasn't just like, oh, here's some plushies, buy one if you want.
So in lieu of the people that we have to stay 6 feet away from.
I mean, we only opened up, I think he had 6 varieties, and we only opened up 6, and those were like the COVID ones, I guess. You know, like I think we ended up just I think Raina might have kept one. I think we burned the rest. Yeah, I mean, it was like one of those deals where you're like, I mean, I know, like, I don't want to talk about the virus too much, but I know like surface level stuff is very low, but still, why roll the dice, right? Like, so like we put those in a separate box when we were done, but you can't just keep them in a plastic bag. People want to touch things, right? So there's the
Right.
Like if you saw my booth in both areas, I had metal prints, and I have open ones that are displayed because people could pick them up and look at them. And they're like dinged up on the corners. They have fingerprints I have to clean off before every show. And some of them have very, very minor scratches. And people always kept thinking, oh, I can buy this one. I'm like, no, man, I got a clean one back here for you. That's just so you can see it, you know. But that experience, again, is they're holding it. They can see how it refracts in the light and stuff and reflects. I said refracts. I don't
People
know.
are hugely tactile. It's ridiculous. It
Exactly.
doesn't even matter that it's a 2D piece of art. Like we learned this because we had talked before. Oh, why do we bother having a print book where someone has to manually flip through it? Why not just have a like a computer or a tablet?
Yeah.
No, you don't sell that way. People don't like it. They're tactile, even if it's just a print
Yeah.
book. People like to touch things. It's just how it goes. This year I knew it'd be a thing, and I just kind of gave up on it. Playmats. People love to pet playmats. They walk by your booth and just go
Pet? Really?
all by the playmats.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I had people like
Stop
just rifling through them all, like just kind of fanning them. I'm like, cool, man. Hey, if that's what you need to do
Get that
to
much-
Huh.
yeah, or the soft touch, they just like to like rub their hands on it. I'm like, hey man, it's again that's yeah, like you said, people like to feel things, and like I had books sitting out, and people were really shook about picking them up. Like they wouldn't just pick them up and read them. And I was like,
I've had to basically put out like the loaner copy of my sketchbooks or whatever with like a little note that says, feel free to pick me up, please, by all means, like look through me, because yeah, I've noticed that with people where they don't want to touch books and like flip through them, whatever, because they don't want to like bend the spine. So I always reserve one where it's like, no, this is the floor model, it's allowed to be beaten up.
Well, we put demo on the books, thinking people would see it and say demo. I could pick it up and read it, right? I think I need to use the word display. That might.
You know
be a
what?
better word.
I think I would be even more blunt. Like, just read the fucking
There's a
book.
pick it up. You know what I
Yeah.
did with the art show was I put a little sign next that says "Pick me up, read me."
Yeah.
We
Sorry, you guys just reminded me of something. I have to take notes.
so we had a
okay.
variant of the Magic #1 comic book, and so we wrote all over the front like special Whipping Boy edition, display copy, demo. You can touch
When people
this.
touched it, though, it was mostly me handing it to them, which is actually what I was about to say, is hand them the book.
You have to hand them the product. You always have to hand them the product too. Like that's the other thing. Again, I'm not trying to call any vendors out, but it's stuff I learned over the years from watching other people like Steve and Kat working. I've been watching like people at Gen Con working and making, like you have to put the product in their hands. Like even if it's a print, like that's why I have stories in the back of my prints. I can be like, hey, look, check it out. I got stories in the back that refer to each of the pieces, and you put the print in their hand. Now they're reading the story. Now they have the print in their hand. There's a good probability that they're going to buy that print or buy something else. And there's a chance they won't. If they don't, they don't. I'm just like, cool. Thanks for looking. I had plenty of people pick up the book, page through it, and put it down. It might be because they don't want to read a book, and it might be just because it's not that interesting to them. I can't assume otherwise. Sometimes they just bought a print. I was like, that's cool, man. You bought something,
Sorry, you guys just reminded me of something I had to pack and haven't yet, so I have to write it down.
I'm trying to remember all the stuff I need to pack for Gen Con. I'm hoping I don't forget, but I have a list. I know the only extra thing is extenders, but there's all my other stuff's being brought to me. My playmat makers, dude, that is an insane list. That list is giving me anxiety just looking at it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
No, it's a lifesaver coming back after not doing a show for 2 years and having a freaking checklist.
Trust me, my list is the same thing. My list is about 30 or 40 items, but that looks like that's probably all your art pieces too, right?
No, that's
that's
like little things like markers. And it's got a 2-week one where it's like, hey, did you buy markers? Did you buy plastic sheet protectors? Did you do an inventory and get new prints?
Yeah, my thing is
it's
always have
little
to remember
things
things. Go ahead,
really
Jacob. I'm
easy.
sorry. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Steve talking. I'm sorry.
It's little things, we got like sticky notes,
Yep.
painter's tape, stuff that you don't
all the
necessarily
usual
think of.
stuff you don't
there's-
think about.
Yeah. Tubes for shipping, as well as the big stuff like we need prints, we need our photo backdrop, we need our metal prints, we need playmats. But like those you remember. It's those little things that you're like, oh, right, we need to make sure we have a handful of Sharpies and
Yep.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
that
I
you
forget
just-
things like change for the cash. I forget 3M strips, which is what I use to hang up. I have Pro panels, so my metal pieces hang with 3M strips. It's that easy. But I've forgotten 3M strips before, and I had to drive to Target and pay a crazy amount of money for those. There's always something I forget. I actually, when I left DragonCon this last week, I forgot my small table. I left it in the art show. I literally stacked all my work on the table, thinking as I'm unloading into the car, I'll remember my table because everything's sitting on the table. And Justin and I just cooked through there, and I just left. And at 3 a.m. on Monday morning, I was like, or Tuesday morning, I was like, oh, you forgot your table. Just a 3 a.m. thought that I had. And then, my friend was like, can we go get it? I'm like, no, man. And actually, the organizer said she might be able to find it.
Oh.
I said,
That's
hey, man,
nice.
if you find it, feel free to just add it to your collection because I'm not going to pay to have a $50
So
table.
all of you guys are going to be in Gen Con then in the next week, right? Is that
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like only 20 artists in the show, is that? Or
I think
21, is that
it's
correct?
30? It's 30, I think.
No, 30 something. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that now?
There's like,
Is that reduced from the normal amount that's normally in the show?
75 normally, I think.
Oh wow! So it's basically
yeah.
cut down to a third.
A lot of
Ish.
artists decide to roll to 2022. But also you got to keep in mind, this was like they all rolled because before the rule was just masks, period. There was no, now I think they're saying you have to show some proof of vaccination, I think. No?
Oh no?
Oh
I
God.
hope. No.
That's going to be too scary in there, man. I know masks are mandatory, so.
I'm disappointed in Gen Con, to be honest. I'll be blunt on that. I'm disappointed that they're not doing a mask or a negative test.
They are doing. They are saying
Georgia
they
can
did
do
say
it.
masks, right?
Surely Indy can.
Yeah, they said masks are mandatory.
Masks
I don't
are
think they're
mandatory.
enforcing anything else. Yeah, there's no. I love the fact that Georgia was like, you have to show proof of negative tests or a vaccination. When they did that, I was like, my levels of stress went down because it's Georgia, and I was just like, come on.
Yeah, I remember when you first mentioned it, you were like, oh my God, weight's off my shoulders on this.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I'm either gonna come back from their what did I say? A golden god or
I think
a
you
lich
said
king?
Yeah, I think you said basically dead or a superhero.
Yeah.
You weren't sure which.
I mean, I took a test, before I came home, and then I took another test after I was home to make sure I wasn't sick, because I got a kid here. I hope Gen Con adds some extra rules I don't think they'll enforce anything more by Tuesday or Wednesday, because at this point you just gotta roll with it.
It's so soon, yeah.
Well,
So-
that's what I heard is they were confronted with it a month ago, just like DragonCon did, because DragonCon did it a month from the show. They're like, "Yep, sorry guys, here's how it is." And people went to Gen Con. They're like, "Are you going to do this too?" And they're like, "Well, people already bought their badges. It's not fair." It's like,
they can get refunds.
Yeah, they can get refunds. It's not hard to do.
Roll it over.
Yeah, we'll roll it over.
We had a show we were invited to where they at first seemed really great because we're requiring proof of vaccinations or the negative test, we're requiring masks, we're doing all the things, and then after that they're like, but don't worry, if you don't like that stuff, we're waiving it for vendors and anybody who has a moral objection to it. So it's like,
well, then it's not
so
required.
You're not
Then
doing like
required means hell or high water. You got to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
it was only waived for vendors, though, but still. Like,
Vendors are going to be the ones who they've been all over the place and stuff. So
Yeah.
They're the ones that should show all the proof. Like we've been around the
That was one of
block.
the things Dragon Con, like before they would let us in the door, they're like, yeah, you need
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
That lady wouldn't give me a badge until she was like, "Let me see your proof of that." So I noticed for load-in, they didn't really like lock us down, but they wouldn't give us badges after the fact, and they wouldn't let you in without a mask on. My team and I had masks on the whole time. I think we took our masks off briefly while we were setting up because it was wicked hot in there while we're setting up. But at that point, I'm just like, if I catch it, I mean, there was nobody near us, right? It was just me and my team who were all vaccinated. So, I had a question for
So
Jacob.
I guess.
I'll go on.
No, go ahead. I can't remember it. I'm looking through my notes.
Oh, I was gonna say. So one question I always have with shows, and I'm very curious about it with Dragon Con and Gen Con too. Now to think of it, is how did originals sell well at all for any of you? Alan, I know that you sold one of your master print series.
I sold the master to I sold it to a fan that I've had since my first Dragon Con. And the dude basically has been buying he went from the prints to the playmats to the metal to the big metal. He basically came over and was like, I can finally buy one of those. And I was like, that's amazing,
Nice.
I did not sell a single other one though. In 2019, I sold 4 of those.
Oh wow!
So that also gives you an idea of how people are spending their money this year, right? They're buying stuff but not going bananas with it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, not like the larger ticket items, I suppose.
It's a harder sell.
Right.
Did you bring a lot of originals, Jacob?
Yeah, probably about 10 or 12 or so. I sold a small drawing. That was it. Everything else was prints off the table, a few play mats. I had a new coloring book, sold a ton of those. I sold a few like larger, free, fancy prints and stuff, but mostly small dollar items.
How did the Cthulhu piece do? The one that right there behind you is the one that won the award, right?
Oh man, yeah, that was well over half of my show.
Mm-hmm.
I sold several of the large 24 by 36 prints.
Andrew and I both have posters of
that.
Yeah,
like mine is like right over that way.
Awesome.
No, that's a really good piece. I was like, there's no hands down. That's a well deserved award. I'm glad that piece is selling so well for you.
It was a nice prize for being my first time at Dragon Con.
Hey man, that means you got to come back next year, jury free.
Nice.
And you'll probably be stuck next to me. I'm actually gonna make sure they put you next to me. I'm gonna put Jacob next to me so I can bother him all day.
Oh, I'll bother you all day.
Because you talk so much.
You're right. I'm pretty quiet. I don't know. If you let me drink at the booth, I'll bug you.
Got it. Booze on it. Actually, I have a friend who's like. So here's a funny thing about my friend Stuart. He lives 2 miles up the street from the show, but he didn't want to stay in his own condo, so I stayed in his condo. He was staying at the Hyatt with his friends, and which is great for me because every day he would just come down and bring me some booze, and refill my flask or whatever, and I'd be like, cool, I got booze. But I also would just pour it in my Coke occasionally because I don't want to be standing there drinking a flask, when people walk by, like, what's up, But you have to remember which bottle is the Coke with the booze in it and which bottle is the Coke with that. I took a big swig of Coke on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and it was pure whiskey, and it was it was an interesting 2 hours.
My favorite was Nigel. This was when we were in Europe, so I don't know if this is how it regulates. He'd buy a big bottle of Fanta orange. And slowly the color of the Fanta, slowly throughout the day, the color of the Fanta changes, but the level does not. It slowly turns more and more brown.
So one of our Dragon Con tricks is we get a Snapple iced tea first day of the show, and it turns out that's pretty much the same color as whiskey.
Yep.
So you can have that all over you just wander around with it, and it's just iced tea.
I actually don't know if they serve booze at Dragon Con? I don't remember.
Yes,
They do.
they
Yeah, you
actually
can.
have a mobile food
Everywhere.
cart that went up and down the aisle in the vendor hall.
Really?
Right outside
Yeah.
the art show, there was a booth.
Really?
Oh, wow.
What the fuck, man? I missed all of
Yeah.
that.
I had no idea.
Like the guy was on wheels and he'd like
It's
lift it up and
everywhere.
like scroll down, and then the only
I
one
never knew that. I mean,
I
I
did
get
know-
free booze for my friend. I'll take the free booze all day. So
they had the some of them they were doing in the cups, the clear cups that were that big with the really wide mouth.
yeah.
That made me a
It's
little
not
frustrated
something-
because they come over to your artwork like, this is great.
Yes. So I had that's the one thing I'm gonna talk about real quick. People put their drinks and stuff down on your artwork, and you're like, I've gotten really good at stopping them before they do it. Like, oh, don't put it there. Don't put it there. You know, like, because it's gonna stain it or whatever. It may not, but it might, and then you have to buy it. You know. I've had people
one that-
eat their lunches. I had a booth next to me at Origins in 2019. This dude invited like his whole group of friends to have lunch with him because apparently he was bored and whatever. And they're all like standing around his booth. And while they were standing around there, one of his friends just put a sandwich down on one of my playmats and proceeds to try to open it. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? And he's like, I was going to eat my lunch. I'm like, not there, you're not, you know?
Not on your table.
I was like, are you with him? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, go around the other side. And the dude was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, what the? Common sense, dude. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
We had one this year. He felt so bad. It was one of the load-in dudes who are so helpful and sweet and nice at Dragon Con. Like, and those guys start 3 days early and they're going like.
Because they're setting up too.
Yeah, it was the load-in dudes who like manage all of them. They have the orange vest on, and he was just coming through. He just finished his shift. He's about to go home and sleep. And he's coming by our booth. He's exhausted, and he looks and he sees the cat dragons. He's like, "Oh, I need this playmat. Oh my gosh, I'll come back when I'm not so tired and get it. Oh, hold on." He starts digging out stuff, and he takes his work boots, freaking boots, and puts them right on the playmat. And I'm like,
No.
"Can you please take your boots off the playmat?" And he's like, "Oh," and he just starts swearing, apologizing. He's like, "Yes, I'm buying it," and I didn't even have to say anything. He's like, "I guess I'm buying it right now instead of tomorrow."
Yeah.
And he felt so bad, like apologized. So he was very sweet, but like the guy was running on like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt
Right,
like he
yeah,
did the right
fumes.
thing. And then
I mean,
he
at
came
least he
back
did
at
the
end
right
of the
thing.
show and bought- he came back at the end of the show and bought a second one.
My other ones had boot prints on them.
Yeah. I mean, you can wipe those things
They're
clean.
machine washable.
Apparently, they're machine washable. Apparently, you can throw them in the washer. But I was like,
Really?
Oh yeah,
I've never tested it.
I did.
Often.
Yeah,
You did?
I took one of Drew's and threw it in. Yeah, does great.
It
I
survived
washed it,
like
I think,
the.
twice.
Hmm.
I put it in on cold by itself, and it was
Huh.
fine.
It washed
yeah.
well. I wouldn't recommend doing it often because the edges will start to go. But
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
occasional wash like once a year is nice. They also respond really well to the Tide like spot removers.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I've never cleaned my playmats. I don't use them
You
as
need to put it-
often.
Follow Jacob. Jacob's got instructions for us on how to do this.
I mean, I want to know what Jacob's third and fourth field tests look like. Fucking falls apart. That's what's gonna happen.
I don't know if I've ever had one sit around that long. I just
I've
threw
only-
one in a couple times to see what
I've
happened.
never had any of my playmats get that dirt. I mean, the worst I've had at a show is some dude spilled coffee on my playmat once, and I had to like pick it up, and I fanned it off, and then he refused to pay for it, and I was like, "But you just spilled coffee all over." I literally picked it up and said, that'll be $40, you know, and he was like, "I'm not paying for that." I'm like, "You just spilled coffee all over it, which smells a lot like whiskey, you know."
Huh?
And the showrunner happened to be walking by, so I talked to somebody and said, "Hey, this guy just did this," and they cut me a check, and that guy was never gonna pay, and that's the kind of person you don't want to deal with. You obviously got a nice dude who paid after he put his muddy boots on your stuff, so. But you know, I had a handful of people put stuff on the playmats this show, but called them out right away and they picked it up, you know. So
Yeah, I've actually had people ask, just like Jacob said, can I wash these? Hold on, our battery's dying. Oh no.
Do we have?
Yes, it's right here.
I actually
Yeah.
made a little label whenever I ship them to people. I put it in there. It says machine wash on cold,
okay,
pellet cycle or whatever.
Nelson, wash one at a time, man.
Yeah.
Don't
Real
ruin.
cool.
People are saying they're gonna all start washing their playmats now.
Mm.
I mean, I guess I
Yeah.
can field test it later. I think I heard that my vendor puts it on their website now too. So I haven't. I've never said. And when people ask, I just say, yeah, I think you can. So that's good to know.
Yeah, just wouldn't do it a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I tell people. Yeah,
it'll
take
fray
precautions.
eventually. I guess the only other question, I mean, Andrew, I think you asked already, was how the show felt different, and I guess it just felt different because it was just crowd control a little better. Didn't feel as scary as I thought it was going to be honest. Like, I thought people would be acting all crazy, and I expected people to be like, I expected at some point I would see a protest of people who were like, masks shouldn't be allowed, or some.
It was otherwise pretty
shit.
chill. Like, everyone's very respectful for the most
People
part.
just
I
follow the
never
rules,
heard
man.
any complaints.
Yeah, I just, like I said, there was probably there was about 6 people in the art show who wouldn't wear their masks, and they got escorted out. It wasn't all in one day. It was like throughout the 4 days, but I didn't see anything else bad happen the whole time. People just follow the rules, man. They just did the thing.
I heard from Dragon Con, I think they had like about a 90% compliance rate in terms of like masked and like everyone being masked and vaccinated and stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's like 10% of people had to get ejected. That's not bad.
I mean, they also did a thing where they said if you don't have proof of a negative test, there's a station over there. Just walk over there. They'll run a test for you right now. You chill for 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll tell you if you got COVID. And I thought, that's cool. Because some people showed up and were like, I don't have proof of anything. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Get tested.
It's like, it's right over there. Yeah.
So.
See, and that's a responsible way where, like, yeah, you gave them a month, but some people might not have noticed, but you have on-site testing, and that's kind of a cool, responsible way of doing that.
And I had people, like, I saw some people were panicking because they're like, I don't have my vaccination card. I'm like, just take a photo of it. Like, I literally took a photo of my card and put it in a locked folder on my phone. Simple. And now my phone dies.
I forgot to bring my card. I just had the photo.
That's all you need. You just need a photo, man. Nobody should be carrying the card around. If you lose that thing, you're in a lot of trouble.
They didn't even look at mine that close. They just saw that I had it, and I guess
they
knew we were serious. Yeah.
They took a good look at mine because I had the boost. I had the booster, so she was like, "What's this third line?" Like as if I was trying to like I'm trying to pull a fast one on them, I got the magic third.
I'm getting riddled with shots, man.
Yeah.
I got the Moderna and the Pfizer, and next I'm working on the Johnson Johnson.
You know who got the craziest amount of shots is in our friends group is Tawny. She got her first shot, and then they
Oh, that's right. They messed it all up.
They messed it up. She got her first shot, and apparently there was like not as strong or a dud or something. I forget what the story was. And then she had to wait 2 weeks and then go back in and start again from the first shot and then the second shot. And then at some point she's gonna get the booster. So I was like, man, you're gonna be like Captain Marvel. Your ability is just gonna activate that Kree blood. It's gonna, and then you can start punching people. Just go for it, and full on out. But she seems fine. I was like, that's a lot of. I don't know which one she got though. I don't know if it's Moderna or Pfizer. But hey, Tawny, if you're listening, tell us. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt, but when I got that second shot, I was down for the count, and when I got the third one, I was out.
Oh yeah.
That's fine. The shots. When I actually got COVID in March 2020, I lost my sense of taste and smell, and that's it.
And you got it back eventually?
Yes, that was terrifying because at the time, like, they hadn't even like listed it as a symptom.
Right.
And I'm like,
oh really?
Yeah. And smell. They wouldn't even do a COVID test on me because it was so early, and they were reserving, and they were so limited on the tests that you had to have a fever or about to go to the hospital for them to even give you the test. So I never got the test, but Steve went and got the test. Steve got super sick. He was sleeping like 15 hours a day.
Oh geez.
And then when he got the booster, or when he got the vaccine, he got sick, and then he got the second vaccine. He got the.
So Steve got COVID and then was still sick after he got the shot.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've heard stories about people who said they had like mild symptoms of COVID and or had COVID, and then went and got the shots, and they felt like your body had already built up most of the immunity at that point, so the shots didn't make them feel as sick as someone like myself or Andrew who didn't have COVID, and we both I felt like somebody asked me to describe how I felt. I was like, I feel like I'm standing in a porta potty at a hot summer concert.
Yeah, like the second shot didn't do anything for me, but yeah, third one I was like for a day each. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to do anything, man.
Yep. I like my
Yeah,
kid. Had,
I was brain dead.
Vaccine has nothing to do actually with COVID. The response to the COVID vaccine isn't your usual type of response. It's not. It's that your immune system is responding because there's something in there, but it's actually not a COVID response. To be
Right.
honest,
Okay.
because how the new vaccines work, that's not. It's that your immune system is flaring up, and so you're just having an immune response.
Yeah.
It's not that you're actually with other vaccines. It's a dead cell, and so you might be having this mild response to the
Yeah, because
actual
it's like the mRNA, it's not the same sort of
Right.
thing.
Yeah, and so the mRNA one is not actually a response to COVID. It's a response to your immune system being kicked.
Yeah.
Got it.
With a little bit of an asterisk that if you have had COVID, your body recognizes the vaccine as COVID, and so a lot of people, if they've had it, they have the same milder experience as when they had COVID, and that was like the case with me. Is all the symptoms when I had COVID, I got the same thing. It's just milder, and it lasted about a half a day instead of a week and a half.
Your body's like, wait, we know what this is. Go.
But like the mRNA virus or vaccine, it's a tiny little snippet of RNA within a little phospholipid bilayer, fake cell, and so it kind of can't do anything. Like a lot of the old school vaccines, they were a modified version of the virus. This is almost like a mugshot of the virus compared to like bringing him in, but he's handcuffed, which is what like the old vaccines were. So yeah, you can still get sick, but you can't get like
COVID.
proper sick.
Yeah, you can't get. You
Like-
won't catch it at the highest levels.
Alan, I don't know if you ever I have to get like pretty much a pass from my doctor now for any kind of shots I
Yep.
want to do since I'm immunocompromised and all that. But yeah, well, with this one, like the mRNA, they were like, yeah, that's fine. There's no worries.
Yeah,
The
my doctor
worst
was
it'll be
like-
is like instead of it 90% effective, it'll be like maybe 60 for you. But
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, my doctor was like,
Was that
"Oh,
like
you
the
can
same for
get it." He was like, I was waiting for the hospital to call me so I can go in and get the shots from them. And then I've got a family that works over at the local pharmacy, and she was like, "You can just come in here." And my doctor was like, "Yeah, just go there." I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't matter anymore." I'm like, "All right, well, just come get it there." And, in my head, I was like, "I'm just gonna get this third shot before I go to Atlanta, so I feel a little safer."
They're
Just to
not
get
even
it done,
offering that. Thing. Well, I think they might if you are immunocompromised or have something like that. I imagine
Yeah, that's
you can get the booster here, but they're not advertising.
Right.
anything.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna turn it on for everybody soon. So
yeah. I was gonna say I think that's why we ended up getting the third boosters, just because we fit in that category.
yeah, someone was trying to do
two
the
of us.
math for me, like how long was your last shot before that? I'm like, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't give it to me if I wasn't able to get it.
I remember they said it would have been fine because they said like if you happen to be like in that immunocompromised group or whatever, they wanted you to have at least 28 days since your second shot.
Yeah,
And I think for both of us, it's like months ago.
it was months ago.
It's
Yeah,
like way longer than 28 days. It's like
I
okay,
definitely
you're
did not want to go through that feeling twice, but whatever. And now I'm thinking to myself, it's gonna be like a flu shot, I think, right, where you have to get it every X. I always get sick after the flu shot. I've never gotten a flu shot
They're
where I
not
didn't feel
totally
funky.
sure yet.
Oh, okay.
They're still, I guess, kind of waiting to see exactly how it pans out. Because if it
That's
gets
true.
stamped
Or if
out,
you're
may not have to do treat it as like a flu shot.
so one of the people. Go ahead.
Sorry. They're working on a vaccine right now that actually covers all of the SARS, and like they believe it actually covers as a COVID booster, and it actually
Okay.
covers the whole thing.
That'd be
It's this really cool
bananas.
new cutting edge technology where it basically covers the whole grouping.
Right.
And they hope that will cover those flu shot
Nice.
things and COVID.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to just be like, I'm taking today and tomorrow off. Like nobody talked.
Just sleep.
To get us off the COVID topic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's
Yeah,
nobody's
so-
fault. That's what I told you before. I'm like, we go all over the board on this when we talk about things. But I was trying to think if there's anything else about Dragon Con that I felt was different or better. I did feel like it felt.
Restaurants were all closed.
What's that?
That was worse. The restaurants were all closed.
The
That
what?
was worse.
restaurants. A lot of them were closed.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
places
like-
that we were used to going to, like I know Jason and I were looking at spots that we went to in 2019 that were not there, and so we found different spots this year. Like we went to that place called Cooks and Soldiers, and I was like, that just happened to be a spot I went to in 2019. It was fine. It was a tapas place, except we were like, the only thing I hated about that place was there's no lighting where we were sitting. Remember, it was super dark, and I'm just like, they're like, oh, those guys are artists. Put them in that corner over there. Don't give them any lights either. They like it in the dark.
Corner.
Yeah. It's like, dude, we're artists. We're not vampires, you know?
Well,
Okay, Steve, maybe. I don't really hang out with them until the sun goes down, technically.
I think the complexion of my skin shows how much sun I get.
Yeah.
Another thing at Dragon Con that I did love, and they said that we got an email from them that said they're going to keep doing it. They scheduled when you're doing your re-sign up for the next year for Dragon Con, they scheduled times instead of just, hey, just show up on these 2 days to re-sign up. They actually gave you times to go sign up, and me and Jason Engel went at the same time. We walked in, no one else is there. We walked in, the chick looked at our stuff, took like 5 seconds, type, handed it, and walked out.
I just sent my
And it was
contract
that'd be
in.
nice.
so amazing.
I didn't. So I didn't. So I, you know, since I was in both spots, I talked to the showrunner and I was just like, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the other hall in time to sign up, and I don't think my assistants should manage that at all. So I got lucky. I was able to just email it in, but I just did it like before I got back home, and it's like one of the first things I got off my list was sign up. And in case people are watching and wondering if you can get in the vendor hall, I just need to say one thing. Like, the showrunner got a lot of flack from a lot of artists who were like, oh, Alan was over in the vendor hall and you're letting artists in. She didn't let an artist in. She let me in because I had a bunch of product to sell. And that was the deal. The deal wasn't I could sell artwork. I was selling product. There were a few prints on my table because I use them as eye candy to bring people to the booth. But that was the deal I had. I can put a couple prints up.
Yeah.
Only like 5 out of my like 17. But the rest was all product. And, you know, some people have been like reaching out saying, oh, you let this guy in. I thought artists weren't allowed. And I feel bad for her. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't realize that this was going to be a thing. But I also realized my mistake was I set up my booth to look like my art booth because I don't know any other way to design it. And later on,
It's branding though.
Yeah, well,
You have to have visual recognition.
Yeah, so I told her, you know, I said I'm going to set it up so it looks a little bit different and I'll adjust it so that problem doesn't exist again. Because I was like, I'm not actively trying to break the rules. I am just trying to be in the vendor hall. I didn't do anything special. I signed up, I got in. You know, like there's no, you know, I don't like this talk of like I got some form of special treatment. I didn't. I did the same thing you can do, sign up, but I just follow the rules. The rules are you have to have product in the vendor hall. That's the key. It's a vendor hall. They don't want to see more artists in there. So yeah, unfortunately my booth looked like an artist booth because I just designed it the way it did. But lesson learned. I'll redesign it for 2020. I might even bother you guys. Just be like, look at this display. Tell me what you think. But you know, more like I'm gonna put more of the books because I had like books. I had sketchbooks. I had pencil cases. I had all sorts of things. And she was totally chill with me once I talked to her. But I didn't appreciate, you know, hearing people bothering her and giving her a hard time. I was like, she's the nicest person. You know, like.
But yeah, that was a cool thing. They actually sent an email saying that they're planning on continuing to do that because it was so successful. It was easier on them. It was easier on all the vendors to not.
Yeah, that just makes a lot of sense instead of it being a free for all.
Well, I think that's part of the key of new people taking over the management of all these sections, right? They had better ways. Like you guys all, I'm not gonna name names, but you guys all know who we had to deal with in the art show initially, and that dude was.
I think part of it, and it's what COVID's done for everyone. Sorry to bring that one back up, but
Nah, it's all good.
He had to think of how to do things differently, and we've actually had to be better. Working from home, and a lot of the stuff where people can work from home. I haven't gone to work for a year and a half. I haven't gone to the building I work at because I actually have a normal day job. I haven't gone for a year and a half. But a lot of companies are learning Zoom and all of these. This sort of thing is becoming so much more popular, and we are opening things up. It makes it better access for people who have disabilities to be able to work jobs.
Yep.
Where people said in the past, "Oh, we can't accommodate that." It's like, yes, you could.
You clearly can.
They always can.
And
Yeah.
It's
so
when they say we can't do it, what they mean to say is we won't do it, right?
Yep. And so
Yeah.
a lot of innovation has come about, and you even see it with the cons. I mean, they went all online last year,
Yep.
and a lot of innovation happened because of that. And so it's just forcing people to innovate and people to do things more comfortably. And I love that DragonCon tried something different and then was like, oh, worked way better. Let's just do that forever. Because they were forced to innovate. Another one, and Alan, you might be able to actually give better. We don't do load in, load out. We bring everything from a plane.
Okay.
But
Wow.
they did load in. Yeah.
So load in was, they have two spots for load in the vendor hall. One is the large load in. If you're like, I'm guessing Chessex has a huge truck, right, of stuff. Like if you're a big vendor with lots of stuff, you need a big truck that shows up, and you're gonna need the big dock. I had the small dock, and I literally just parked. And the thing that sucked is they didn't have enough carts for us, but luckily I have two of my own, and my team and I just quickly did it. I think we got everything loaded in within like 30 minutes. We were also on the first floor, so we had to just ride the freight up one, right? It loads in on B2, which I'm guessing is basement level 2. I don't know how that's set up, but I did learn I could have just parked on the street and just started unloading too. But I didn't have I had a 1 p.m. load in time. I got there. I messaged the showrunner and I said, I'm a little early. If you want my teams ready to go. And she said, hey, we had a cancellation, to show up. And I showed up at like 12:15. They made me wait till like 12:30 or 12:40. And then so we loaded in a little earlier, but the only stressful part there was the lack of carts. Like they have these giant flatbed carts, and if they just had like 20 of them there, and I talked to her about it, I said the same thing. I said, if you just had like 15 or 20 of them, one per person that's loading in, like there were some there, and some people took like 2 to themselves. I'm like, come on, man. That's super selfish. But if you gave 1 per customer as they're loading in, it just would just move along. Load out, you have to they changed the rules. I heard like it used to be just load out, and then it sent us a letter that said you have to take a photo of all your stuff packed up, and then and then they'll give you a loadout time, and you show up. But what I did was I just parked in a lot down the street, and my team and I just wheeled things over, and it maybe took us an extra, I don't know, 30 minutes, but when we were ready to go, we were ready to go. We didn't have to wait, because I had to load out from the vendor and then drive the van over to the art show and load out from the art show, which the art show took like 15 minutes.
They did it differently this year. They did texting instead of like a queue for load in and load out. And they said that worked way better this year, and they're planning on doing. That's why I was getting context because I didn't know how it went. But in the email they said the sign up times changed, and that was way better, and we're going to keep doing that. And so did the load in, load out. How they changed it worked better.
Jacob, did you have just everything in a suitcase as well?
No, I had back of my truck completely full. I had panels, a lot of
Pro
big
panels?
frame pieces, and several totes and stuff. So
I saw several people in the art show.
By the door.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the art show. They let you pull right up. I saw one person pull in. I was like, "What are you doing, man?" Like they blocked the whole door.
That big white van.
No, it was like
it looked
like an SU, like a
David
Suburban.
Pancake.
No, it wasn't a white man. It was like a Suburban or something. I know Pancake. I would give him a hard time if I saw him.
Well, they told him to back in there, so he did.
Sure. Okay, so they were telling people to do that. Whatever.
Loading out was nice though. They had all the volunteers. I took one load and turn around. They're all grabbing the rest of the stuff, following me out. And
yeah, they bring the flatbeds to you.
I was loaded up and out. Yeah, I was loaded and out of there probably in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just pulled up and left. But previous years, I used to do what you guys do, Kat and Steve. I used to bring everything in suitcases. I would, because the art show will provide you grid walls now if you want to. In previous years, there was always a thing where you had to be like, can I get a wall? Can I get a grid wall? Can I put up a banner? It was all blah, 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 blah. But with the new people, it's like everyone can get the same thing if they want. Like Jacob could have gotten grid walls and lights, just like I could get grid walls and lights. There's no special service to a special person, right? So I felt really nice. And, in 2019, I had grid walls. I had everything in a suitcase. when it was time to go, my friend pulled up in his van and just loaded it up and left.
Nice.
Which is kind of how you want more shows to go. Like Gen Con is one of my easiest shows because it's like they give you pro panels, right? If you're in the art show, so you just show up with everything. I show with everything. I'm like, it's a 3-hour drive. I'm gonna fill this van with everything I've got. And if like there's no question about it. If I sell out of stuff, cool. If I sell out and I need more stuff, I literally walk to the van and bring more stuff in. But it's like worth it. And Ben is asking, wondering how similar Gen Con is going to be. I feel like it's going to be fine, except for this weird not having proof of vaccination stuff.
Yeah.
Also, somebody was telling me
want to go out at night.
I mean, so I'm telling you, dude, I go off strip. Like I just leave. I go at least 2 miles away from the show. I almost never eat on the strip. I haven't done it since even without the pandemic. It's just too crowded in that area.
Yeah.
And people are talking about
I wish
somebody
I was just a little bit closer.
Oh, yeah,
I'm like 35,
40
40 minutes outside of town.
Do you drive home every night?
Oh, yeah.
Sleep in your own bed?
It's nice, but but I also end up getting about 2 hours less sleep than everybody else, which adds up after 4 days.
Sure.
I have slept in the main hall on occasion.
Wait, after they closed it?
No, like get someone to watch my booth, and I'll go find a wall and lean up and take a nap for like half an hour.
Okay. I've heard stories of people, like, I think it's San Diego maybe, of sleeping, like, in their booths, like, under the tables and stuff.
That'd be too much.
Because I saw people, like, brushing their teeth once in the morning, and I thought, this guy just got in early and he's brushing his teeth, right? And, like, then I was like, this dude looks like he's really getting ready in here. And my friends are like, there's people in here who like just sleep under their tables and stuff. And I'm like, that shouldn't be allowed. Or what the hell, man?
I know there's some people at Dragon Con because it never closes. These aren't vendors, but they're attendees at Dragon Con because they always have something going that basically like just like find a comfy spot because they'll have movie showings and stuff throughout.
Yeah.
And they'll just find a spot and sleep there. They don't actually get a hotel.
Dude, that's like, at San Diego when people at San Diego people camp out. Like, so I saw a line, one of my earliest times in San Diego, my first times working. So I have a booth with the Lemons, right? Ron and Vanessa Lemon, and then Sean Murray's on the other side. And one of my first times there setting up with Sean, I saw all these people already waiting in front. It was like not even day one is like 2 days away still. And I'm like, why are these people in their tents and stuff? And they were waiting for a Pokemon card. And they were limited to, I don't remember, 500 maybe or something. And people who were like first in line were in their tents. And then I talked to a lady there and she's like, yeah, we just stay out here for a day or two. We take shifts, we go to the bathroom, get cleaned up, and then we just bring food back here and we just it's like a camping trip, but on the sidewalk, outside of the hall and the convention center. I'm just like, you're lucky it's San Diego, because it was like LA or something. I wouldn't sleep outside. Like, what are you guys doing? Also, it's a Pokemon card. I mean, I don't play Pokemon, so I don't know how popular that is.
That's how it is every year for Hall H at San Diego.
I snuck into Hall H once because you can't get in there because the line is so long. But I didn't realize what I was doing till I was doing it. I was eating a pretzel and just following the crowd as I was moving in. I literally walked in there. I'm like, where the fuck am I? And the guy next to me is like, this is Hall H. I'm like, oh shit. And I just kind of went off to the corner and I just stood there and I watched a couple Marvel interviews happen real quick. And I just remember I was like, I just got in here. I broke every rule. Like, nobody stopped me. They're probably like, that dude with the pretzel must be important. He just doesn't seem to care, or I don't know who they thought I was. They just did not question me.
We did the same thing to get into, accidentally got into Penn and Teller. It's kind of, I used my I charge sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just walked in and they just like, didn't stop me, didn't anything. And so we just walked straight to a seat. And then they like started routing the line around. I was like,
God.
Oh,
yeah.
Totally cut the line.
Like, I don't know if there's seats in Hall H. I just stayed in the back the whole time, but I thought I was walking into, we're by door G. So like we're like almost at the end of that convention center. This Artist Alley is the next thing. And I thought I was following a crowd into G because I was just not paying attention. But I followed him all the way into H. And I'm just like, brilliant. And I didn't spend too much time in there because I was like, I don't want to get it like kicked out of a show that I work because that would be a stupid thing to do. So, but it was nice to, Hall H is bananas, man. That's where you want to be.
There.
Yeah.
Once you get into Hall H, you don't leave until the show's over.
Yeah, like that's like the atmosphere in there is like at an 11 the whole time. So
I did a similar thing for Ballroom 20, like the second biggest thing. They were doing like a Firefly panel, and my brother-in-law came with us, and he was waiting in line, and trying to save his spot. And he calls me, and he's like, "All right, we're in, we're going." And I kind of thought, so I went to meet him, and I thought he'd already gone in. And so I just walk right past everybody. I walk past the line. I'm just going. And you see security guys kind of look at me and then go. And I see people being stopped, walking by the same guys I just walked by. And I get in there and like they're just barely starting to seat people. I'm like, I text him like, "Where are you?" He's like, "Well, I'm still in line. They told us we're probably not going to get in." I'm like, "Do
you're
I
like,
stay?"
that's when you send him a selfie. What's
Yeah,
taking
totally
what's
true.
taking you so long? All right, we're a little over time, but if there's anything else you guys want to add, and also I want to show you guys this thing before we sign off. But if there's anything else you guys wanted to add about DragonCon, feel free to. Jacob, you're a man of few words.
I am. Yeah, I'm bad about that.
Sounds good.
I don't know. It was a good experience. I
was
can't
gonna
wait
say,
to go
did you
back
like
and do it
it?
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
he's
great.
got to come
met-
back next year regardless. I mean,
Have to. Yeah.
I don't see any
I
reason
was
why you
worried
wouldn't.
about getting in next year, so I'm happy I do get back in. But yeah, met a whole bunch of new people that I hadn't met before, artists that I'd followed and stuff. Got to meet a bunch of new people at the show, just attendees. So I don't know. I had a blast. Looking
Well,
forward to doing it in normal times.
Yeah, it'd be nice to work that show without a mask on someday.
It would, but it'd be nice to be able to get the full experience, go check everything out, hang out at night, and not worry about, best practices and stuff about being safe.
I mean,
Yeah.
go to the Marriott.
Worth it.
Yeah, the
Normal
people
year.
watching is half the fun of that show, and I didn't get to do that this
Oh
year.
yeah.
Or like visit any of there's a speakeasy that I like to go to with it's got like the red telephone booth, and you have to know the secret password, which is a phone number, and it opens the door for you, which is kind of cool.
I
Is
always
that the
like
one you
those.
walk
Yeah.
past every time?
Yeah.
I was
You guys
wondering,
probably
I just
walked right
found
past it on the way to America's Mart. Yeah, you gotta, and you could probably find it just by asking. People are connected, but you get literally the phone number. The phone number unlocks the door per day or something, or per week. I don't remember. It's just a nice speakeasy bar on the inside. It's nothing like wild. It's not like there's a dance party in there or anything. Maybe. Well, I guess we're all going to be back next year then. I definitely will. So, I was going to show you guys a lightsaber I got too. So this is the pommel.
Oh wow.
Whoops. And then I got this.
Ah!
Okay, apparently this is a
Dark
rare.
Panakal.
But it doesn't make
Oh.
noise. So that's the only thing I don't, some of them, sometimes you get noise out of it, sometimes you don't. It's the luck of the draw. Apparently.
Oh
Fire-
wow. Okay.
So. What is that? Oh, that's what you bought at DragonCon.
These are our toys from Dragon Con. So we got a little snake skull, a
Uh-huh.
Burmese python skull,
And then
and
this was a mantis, right?
Mantis,
yeah,
yep.
a devil's mantis,
Devil's flower mantis.
flower mantis.
That dude
Who
kept...
was selling those?
Darwin and Wallace. They were
Oh, I fucking knew it.
Are they your friends?
I buy from them a lot.
Okay. They're chill dudes. They came by and they kept thinking
They're
I
very
was...
chill.
They couldn't remember me at first.
I have a mantis shrimp, what do you think? A mantis shrimp, a Goliath beetle, a camel skull, a raven skull,
Jesus.
and there's one other. I can't remember what the other thing that I got from them as well. It's kind of like, since they're at MegaCon every year, like every year if we have a decent year, we go and get something to go along with it.
They're really cool dudes. They felt a little aggressive on the sales. That's why I didn't buy anything. I was like, I really need to think about it before I buy something, right? Like they're not cheap, right? It's like, it's a very rare, very expensive thing. And then he came by my booth the next day and he was like, I think you were there trying to make a deal. Were you the guy trying to buy this product from me? I'm like, no. I was like, I was there with Steve when he couldn't make his mind up right away, and the rest of us were waiting to go eat food. He he's like, "Oh, I remember you guys." Like, because the show was closed, and they were like, "You guys got to get out of here." Remember, they were trying to kick us out, and we're like,
Yeah.
"Hold on, man."
That it was really nice of them because they stayed open. We don't get to check the show out a lot. 'Cause
Right.
we're
Yeah,
busy.
yeah, they're always really cool about it. Like if you see them after the show and stuff.
They have a lot of stuff. I really wanted to buy something from them, but I spent the money on a gift for my kid. Yeah, Dad.
Got to get you cat dragons for your kid. At
Oh
Gen
yeah,
Con.
I'll get those from you guys at Gen Con. So I asked you about those
Yep.
because I did a video call with her and I showed off your booth to her and she saw the cats and was like, "I want those cats."
Just love it. Yep.
But yeah, Nelson, you're right. I have to make lightsaber noises with my mouth because I don't have a speaker in there. But I've been doing that since I was like 6, so we're all golden, you know. Like I have to like keep it hidden because I know Violet sees it, she's gonna whack somebody, probably me, with it. But we are
probably a little harder than intended.
It's always bad. So we're about 30 minutes over time. I appreciate you guys being on the show. I'd love to have you guys back at some point to talk about something else. And Jacob, Jacob's case, I want to have you back on and talk about. We're going to do a Lovecraft episode.
Word?
I assume you're going to wax poetic about Lovecraft if I get you on, or not.
Sure.
No pressure. And then Steve and Kat. I mean, we could talk about just about anything. Our dinners went all over the place. So, oh, by the way, on a quick note, Justin did survive Indian food with us. He didn't die that night. So.
That's a good Indian place.
Dude, that was
That
probably
was
one of the
great.
best Indian spots I've found in a while. If anyone wants to check it out in Atlanta, it's called Blue India. It was super delicious. Okay, I'm going to take us offline real quick, so just hang tight. Thanks for everyone's watching. We actually had a really good